Welcome back to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker. I'm Richard Randall. Barb is the host of the program, and this is the weekly radio show that informs and educates you on how to buy or sell real estate with the expert, Barb Schlinker, the owner broker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Now, Barb, a lot of people look at those automated valuations that they see on Zillow, or they talk to their neighbors about pricing to try to determine what their home is worth. But how does a home seller decide what price to set when they're selling their home? And how do they know how much they'll put into their pocket when it does sell?
Well, I mean, the magic words for a home seller is, "Hey, I have an offer for you," right? They're very happy to hear that, right? But the obvious question is how much, and is the seller willing to accept it? And some reject, and some say yes, and some work a deal. It just kind of depends. But at the end of the day, most people have kind of a plan in mind of what they plan to do with their net proceeds when they sell. But you can't really plan it that way. You can't say, okay, I want to go buy in this other state where the houses are more expensive. So therefore, my house must sell for X. I wish it worked that way. But the truth is, the house is going to sell for whatever the market value is at the time. That's just how it works. So pricing a home correctly could mean the difference between you getting the most money or not getting an offer at all. It's absolutely the key thing that you have to do when you get your house ready for sale. And you can kind of anticipate what the selling expenses are going to be based on pricing. And so when we work with sellers, we actually sit down and show it to them, because most people don't do this every day. They go up on Zillow and go, "Oh, Zillow says my home is worth this much." And just so you know, Zillow was buying homes during the boom in 2021, and they were overpaying. I remember meeting with sellers and they said, "Oh, Zillow offered me this much, and I knew the market would not command that much, even in a hot market." And I looked at them and said, "You should take it. That's a good deal. Just take that offer and go." And so Zillow went on to lose $1 billion overpaying for homes. So what did they base those prices on? They based it on their little Zestimate, their algorithm of what homes are worth. And it's not very accurate. Sometimes you can see a swing as much as anywhere from $50,000 to $100,000 of what a home might be worth based on different automated value opinions. But in general, if the home is pretty and it's priced right, even now, even today, it could sell with a bidding war. If it needs some minor updating and it's priced right, it will sell. I had a bidding war recently on a home that needed a little bit of work. However, they priced it very realistically and had a bidding war. If it's overpriced, people won't even come look at it. That's just how the system works right now. So um, a lot of people want the most money, but if the ones that really focus in on pricing it very realistically, like we were just talking recently about one of our clients that when we first met, we suggested these, actually two of our clients, we first met, we suggested these numbers, and they're like, "No, no, I want more, I want more." So we go on the market with the "I want more" number, and guess what happens? We get showings, we get, the buyers kind of chirping like little birds. "Well, I don't like this, I don't like that, it needs this," and even though the market stats indicated it could sell for that much. So in general, the market's going to tell you right away. If you're getting activity, like I had one last weekend, as soon as we went on the market, showing after showing after showing, and I was able to get a couple of offers and have the two buyers compete against each other to get what the seller wanted. That doesn't happen very often unless all the stars align: pricing, preparation, picking the right team, and making sure it's marketed properly. So pricing is a really, really critical factor. But in general, the selling expenses to sell a house in Colorado would be: the biggest expense, of course, is paying off your mortgage if you have a mortgage, followed by commission, followed by title insurance, followed by settling up property taxes. Pretty much most sales, you don't have to worry about paying what they call capital gain. A lot of people still ask me about that. They actually changed the law back in, I think it was 1998. It used to be that when you sold a home, you had to take all your net proceeds and roll it into your next home, and you had to buy a more expensive home to avoid paying capital gains tax on the gain. However, that's gone. In 1998, they changed it and they said, if you're married, you could profit as much as 500,000 tax-free. So if you sold your house and you profited tax-free, let me say that again. If you sold your house and you profited 500,000, you could take 500,000, go to Vegas and gamble it away, and you would not pay a penny in taxes on that money. Hopefully you won't do that, right? Most people either invest it or they put it into their next home or something like that. So, but you don't have to. If you're not married, then you can profit as much as 250,000. And as long as I've been doing this, as many sales as I've been doing, very rarely do I have to see home sellers worry about capital gains unless it's an investment property. So if you're an out-of-state investor, the state will collect an additional 2%, okay? And you're going to have to file a tax return with the state that next year to see if you owe any capital gain taxes with the state of Colorado. If you're an out-of-country investor, they will hold back 20% and make sure you pay your taxes before they let you have all of your net proceeds. That's kind of a rare thing, actually. But at the end of the day, the typical thing that you can expect are commission, taxes, title. A lot of people kind of grit their teeth at this one, but most HOAs charge a status letter transfer fee. It could range between $400 and $1,000. People don't like HOAs anyway, so they kind of grumble about that. But in general, if you could just kind of average the number, it's going to be about 6 to 8% of the sales price is going to come out at closing. I would say probably 2 out of 3 buyers right now are asking the seller to pay some of their closing costs. Now, most sellers don't like that. They just don't like it. And I understand. The seller is paying their own closing costs by paying commission, right? Why would they have to pay the buyer's closing costs? It's just a negotiable thing. If the average list price to sales price right now is pushing 3%, 2 of those percentage points are probably going to get requested by the buyer that the seller pay their loan closing costs so they can use that money. Typically, it's about 2% of a loan amount in order to pay for loan closing costs. But in addition to do that, they may use some of those funds to buy down their interest rate to make the payment more affordable. So you really don't have to worry about capital gains that much on the sale of a property. The federal taxes are very rare. A lot of people are worried that their profit and their taxes are going to get taken out at closing, but it doesn't happen. It's the year after you sell. So people that own rental properties kind of typically will sell 1 rental property a year. So because they are going to have to pay taxes on the gain. And that's a whole nother math problem. We could spend a whole segment just on that. But it's really, really important that you pick the right agent that understands pricing, understands net sheets. And there are nobody likes surprises. The last thing you want at the finish line when you're planning on using that money for your next purchase or whatever you're doing at your destination are surprises at closing. That's why we give a very detailed net sheet for every seller all along the way. We start with what we anticipate it will sell with. We also use that when we get an offer to let them know, as offered and as countered, what can they expect to put in their pocket? That way, when they actually get to closing, they're not surprised. It is as expected, and they can plan ahead based on that. And really right now, with more and more home sellers, probably about 55% is the number, reducing their price it is absolutely critical that you get that home priced right out of the gate. And I see requests for concessions all the time, lower price, closing cost, all kinds of things. So not all real estate agents have the experience to understand that, or the repeat sales to see what's going on in the market. And we do that. Give us a call at 719-301-3900 or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. You can listen to replays of the show anytime on all of the major podcast platforms, plus Barb's site, barbhasthebuyers.com. Just look for Barb Schlinker. And if you're thinking of making a move, call Barb Schlinker, 719-301-3900. Barb, what are some of those other things to consider about expenses when you're selling a house?
Well, one thing that a lot of home sellers don't really factor in are repairs. Repairs can happen and they can get really expensive, especially if you're dealing with things like if you have to repair a sewer line or replace a roof. The insurance companies are very resistant on being willing to supply funds for roof replacement right now. And so that's something that you really want to get ahead of and make sure that you've got a good team on your side and you've got good estimates and bids. So I usually recommend to sellers, hey, plan ahead for those things. Have your roof checked out. The roofers that we recommend to come out and do a roof check for free. I would also check your sewer line. Most people tell me they don't ever check their sewer line unless there's a backup, right? So if it works, they don't even care about it, but there could be fractures. Just a few weeks ago, the sewer line was fine, but the clean out part was fractured. And the first bid we got was $4,200. The second bid we got was $650. Which one would you take if you're a seller? It's always better to have, time to work these things out and plan ahead. Otherwise, you're kind of scrambling at the same time you're moving, you're worrying about your contract falling apart. If you can get ahead of this, that's the best thing to do. And what we do is what we call a certified pre-owned home program, where we actually help home sellers get all those things out of the way. That way they're completely comfortable going on the market. They know exactly what they're going to have to deal with in terms of repairs. And just so you know, I have had one or two houses that had multiple contracts years ago, like 4 different contracts for various reasons. And every one of those inspections, they ask for different things. So, but if you pre-inspect and you say, nope, I trust this inspector, this is legit, I don't care what your inspector says, we will honor these things. And the answer is no to the rest, because sometimes the inspectors are not accurate. I will just say that. Or they don't understand systems, or they ask for ridiculous upgrades. And you have to be prepared for that when it comes up on an inspection, and we can help you do that. So just give us a call, 719-301-3900, or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
You're listening to Barb Schlinker on Your Real Estate Voice. She's the host of the program. And if you are thinking of selling your home, you want to get in touch with her because you want the most amount of money, 719-301-3900, or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. We'll take a short break. When we come back, Barbara will be talking about how to sell a home fast in this competitive Colorado real estate market. Plus, Barb will have her hot new listings. Stay tuned for that.